My name's Ray Jenkins. I'm the Chief Exec of Emerging Futures CIC. Everything was easy. I started my own business by the age of 18. And by 19, I was lucky if I could get through a doorway because my head was this big. I had people working for me, I had a shop, I was driving around in a coupe Jag, I had notoriety, if you like, I had a reputation. I thought I was untouchable. I thought I was absolutely untouchable. But there was always a bottle of vodka in my drawer at work because I could have a drink at work. It was my business. I remember doing my first inpatient detox when I was about 22. Early on, I knew it wasn't right. I knew that I was dependent. I had to detox from alcohol, I had to detox from heroin. I was addicted to heroin by then. I came bouncing out, telling all my family and friends, I'm cured, I'm fine now. And then inevitably I'd go and use again. Here, sit down. Good boy. Get your ball. Look at that, it looks trained, doesn't he? This one night, I was at the Elephant and Castle, and I remember I couldn't walk anymore that day. I hadn't got my script and I didn't care. I was literally at my lowest ebb. I noticed all these people walking past and I was at the level of their ankles and their feet. I had this moment where I just thought they've got somewhere to go, they've got something to do, and they've probably got someone to love as well. And I had none of that. And something in me said, so what are you going to do? You're either going to live or you're going to die. I remember the number that someone had given me of a crisis centre in London. It wasn't too far from where I was, and I phoned them. That was it. It was a live and die moment, and I fell into that place, and that place was called City Roads in Islington. I came down to stay in St Thomas Fund in Brighton. I met people who were like me, trying to do what I was trying to do. I found my tribe. Then I moved into recovery housing, supported accommodation. You had your own life to live. You could do voluntary work and stuff, which is what I did. And the first time someone said to me, thanks Ray, I really appreciate that. That was it, I was hooked. This is where I met a guy who, he wasn't in mutual aid, but he was doing some work and he wanted to do some work with the police. So I actually went and spoke to the, at the time, Chief Constable of the Sussex Police, a guy called Paul Whitehouse. What about we could go in custody cells and talk to people, maybe not divert them because they've got to have a consequence to their actions, obviously, but plant those seeds of, look, it don't have to be like this. And I met a guy called David Royce, who was doing something similar in the courts. He said, let's get together. He said, I loved it because I'm doing it as well in the courts. Let's do it together. And I learned about HR and I learned about IT support. I learned about an organisation growing up. And David Royce quite quickly said, I think you should go and do an MBA. I was really self-conscious about that. I went to Brighton University and did an MBA. And the first lesson I walked into, I thought, when I open my mouth, people are going to go, let the window cleaner in. I really had that, I'm not an academic person, I can't do this. And I got my MBA, I got my master's, so I had a degree. And it was like, wow, I really, that was a significant step in my life because it enabled me to say, I'm not just someone who's been through it. I'm not just someone who's got lived experience. I'm a professional and I'm capable. Beautiful story about that though. My sister, she's a little bit of a snob and her son, she's quite well to do, and her son went to university and did a BA and she said, I'm so proud Martin's the first person in our family to get a degree. I went, no you ain't, Jack. And I've got a master's, not just. I said, and you came to the reception. And she went, oh my God. She didn't know what it was about. So, yeah, that was a nice moment. From Elephant and Castle and sleeping on the subway, I had some value again. And something happened to me. I hit kind of 45, and now my role was involving so much of sitting around a boardroom table. It was too far removed from the people, from the workforce, from the service users. I took the decision to leave and I said, look, I'm going to resign, I'm going to start up my own training and consultancy. I met a guy called Damien Grainer, and we wrote for CRI at the time their Foundations of Recovery program for them, which is their therapeutic spine, which they still use today. We got approached by Public Health England actually and said, look, could you use your coaches to do some of this through the gate work? And they gave us a contract, first 18-month contract. And that's out in a portal cabin in the shadows of Strangeways Prison in Manchester. Emerging Futures was born. I do think I've made a difference in a small way. I get those proud moments when someone says what you said really changed the way I thought. I've always said to people, when they're coming towards the end of treatment, they always get quite scared about going back out in the community. And I always say the same thing to them. Your recovery is not 4 walls and a roof of, say, the St Thomas Fund. It isn't, it's in you. They're 4 walls and a roof. It's where it starts, it's where it gets incubated, but recovery's within you. Take it with you wherever you go. For me, I just look at Emerging Futures and think that uniqueness and that celebrating that and holding that has been a really special thing. Giving people that opportunity to reclaim their place in society and head off that stigma. You know, I just think it's the right and most rewarding thing to do. I always have done. Sit down, sit. Good boy, gently. Good boy. Come on. Look, hey? Good boy. You're a good boy.